All right, sorry about that. Well, welcome everyone to another IG live session. You guys are seeing a totally different background today because usually it's a Dominic Huang painting, but now it's more naturey. I'm here actually in Austin for a wedding of an artist friend, Nadia Wahid, who is actually the first artist that we ever feature here on the Here and There Collective. We'll be joined with Augustina Wang and also Cairo, who will be our camera person today, to do a show walkthrough of Augustina's latest show that is opening this Saturday, April 15th. Hi, Augustina. Can you hear me okay? Your the audio is slightly quiet on your end. Yeah, I cannot hear you that well actually. I cannot sorry, I cannot hear you. Do you want to maybe we can try without the AirPod maybe?
Okay, sure.
Oh, that's much better actually. Yeah, let's do it without the AirPod.
Hi.
Hello, hello. I know we have so many trial and error in this particular show walkthrough. For anyone who's not like Augustina or Cairo, so we actually tried to do like a pre-recording version of this on Monday. Tried to do screen recording, but unfortunately, the screen recording did not record the audio for FaceTime. So, and Cairo and Augustina have been like so steadfast with us. Really, really appreciate it, guys. How are you doing today, Augustina?
I'm good.
That's good. That's good. Let's just kick things off. I think we got quite a bit of people already joining in. I would love to actually, we can just kick it off by I'm gonna do a quick introduction of Augustina, and then we can just get on with the show walkthrough. So Augustina Wang, born 1999 in New York City, is a painter based in New York City as well. Wang received her BFA from Rhode Island School of Design in 2022. Wang's work has been shown at So and Taylor in LA, Wow Gallery in Hong Kong, Felix Art Fair in LA, Thierry Goldberg Gallery in New York, Chiara Britton Gallery in New York, and many more. So Augustina, can you kick things off by telling us a little bit what is behind the title of the show itself, For Glory and For Love?
Yeah, so I came up with the title since this body of work is mostly an exploration of power and inner strength. I would pick these two words because glory is sort of it's like a violent but very coveted concept. You have to be strong to be glorious, you have to fight to be glorious. But there are different types of strength. For me, like I think love, like the soft inner power that I think everyone has within them, is also just as important. So I thought maybe having two words that are similar but different enough would be like kind of an interesting show title.
That's thank you so much for that. So we actually can go straight into that big piece, which is if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, it's called Poet. And yeah, this is actually it seems to be like the centerpiece of the show itself. Maybe uh, we can actually, Cairo, can we get a little bit look into the detail of the work itself while like maybe Augustina, can you tell us a little bit about this particular work here?
Yeah, so the show has like a focus on warrior women and the concept of struggle itself. As I was making the show, being fresh out of college and all that, it became a huge struggle to just think of like a way to make the show the way I wanted to give birth to this body of work. Um, for this, it's sort of more of a cringe idea of the art process itself. Like for me and a lot of my other peers, we take experiences, traumatic experiences, and convert them into something beautiful, something artistic. And I think this is sort of like these three figures are aspects of myself in that process. So you see a poet figure writing a poem about her experience of a girl getting drowned or like dumped in water. And it's like a really like meta critique on how the think of this body of itself. Like how do you convert something painful into something beautiful? Or like how can you do it in with a certain levity that doesn't hurt the people watching or it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. So like the colors are bright, the poem is not that bright. It's just it's like a beautiful piece that just sort of speaks on that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Kyra, if you don't mind, maybe kind of like get closer to Augustina while she's talking because like it's a little bit echoey because we don't have the Bluetooth as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Um, so I think like one thing that's like to me that's like really fascinating about this particular work itself is that it really summarizes your practice and also kind of like your own feeling about creating your own work here. And I think your practice itself has this mix of you're drawing your own personal experience and how and in your work you're trying to actually project your personal experience and like almost like present it like or projecting them into these avatars that's like in the context of like this like fantastical settings. Can you tell us a little bit about like how did you arrive into this combination?
Well, for me, I like to draw figures that are not necessarily journalistic,
Mm-hmm.
not like a realistic view on other people. Like all the figures I draw are avatars or like forms of myself. It's hard because painting portraits, there's a lot of weight that carries in their identity. But with these, like these beings are flexible. They're not in stasis. They can always shift bodies or looks or there's always echoes of myself, and I think that's a more honest approach to painting, at least for my case. If I'm like concerned about making work that is about healing and about moving forward or building a world full of like love and peace and all of that, it only makes sense to like reflect within myself or reflect inwards. Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. I want to actually um, read your answer to one of our Q&A posts that I think that was like I don't know why I keep going back to it and I keep like and I think to me like it touched me like a little bit more personally and I think like, it's a really good like summarization of your practice itself. So you mentioned that I make art that I think my childhood self would empathize with. She was this sort of awkward girl who didn't fit anywhere, but loved going on role-playing forums or fan fiction sites, and had a complex had a complex about her body and her race. It's sort of a love letter to her, even though she knew she was weird or a nerd. All of her experience will end up feeding into me. I hope my paintings now tell her that she didn't need to change and that should be proud of how it panned out. And I think to me that was like just such a beautiful, you know, reflection about like your own practice, like from your end. And I love that you're kind of like reframing a lot of some of the this narrative, and you're kind of creating this like whole world, that this character kind of like live in as well. Can you tell us a little bit about like that world building process that that you've been kind of creating for your practice, but especially maybe for this particular show?
Yeah. So I think my practice shifted really dramatically when the pandemic happened, and I was going through a lot emotionally, obviously being isolated. but I was also assaulted that year, so my entire like practice and personality, everything shifted. And I think most people can agree, 2020 was really traumatic for a lot of people, but I naturally sort of regressed backwards. I was thinking of things that made me happy when I was younger. I used to like go read. I used to read fan fiction and like go on all these role playing communities online, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
younger people would know what I'm talking about. But it's all these niche subcultures on the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought I need to draw inspiration from these communities. I need to pull what made me happy in these communities and put
Yeah.
them into my world. So, in the world building aspect for my work, I think of characters or forms that I depict myself in body, and I sort of set dress. So you want to make the world believable, and you want to make it livable, but you also want it to be interesting. And a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
mediums and these franchises, the world revolves around the characters. Like the
Yeah.
world only exists to serve those characters, and I wanted to like get that sort of essence. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, it's super fascinating. I think like the more I kind of read about your practice, and then the more I kind of read about your on your answers on our Q&A posts also, it is super fascinating. And I think the way that you're taking like almost like this um quote unquote pop culture kind of like products, and you actually almost like it's like filtered through to you because like they are actually like super meaningful to you, and the way that you're actually kind of like almost like reframing it and reproducing it in a totally different format. I think it's super fascinating. You touch a little bit about the notion about like some of the characters in your painting. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach on like character building, and like also maybe you talk a little bit about like how you're actually building crafting scenario within a painting itself.
Yeah. So as like a figurative painter, I wanted to work not with self-portraits, but like again forms of myself. And
Hmm.
like the best way I could think of it was sort of like a video game. And a lot of video games you can customize a character, but they're
Yeah.
never set in stone. And I thought that concept was really interesting and like a really interesting way to think of figurative painting. Like these people aren't real people, they're just beings that can constantly shift and change, and they can take on different expressions, different bodies, and transcend like all of the bounds that normal everyday life has. And
Hmm.
for someone like me who grew up as like an Asian woman, there are vestiges of power that you can't easily access. But if you could just shift forms, if you could just like become stronger or become this or that, it becomes a really empowering way to think of
Hmm.
yourself, especially in the lens of painting as like a healing
Hmm.
tool, or painting as like a way to recover or a way to grow. Yeah. Um, for me, a lot of like the scenarios I come up with, like there are always like small references to pop culture that inspires me, but they're usually never blatant. I borrow a lot from manga or like compositionally, but also a lot of my stuff is like I would say it's pretty psychological because they come to me as dreams or like right before I'm sleeping. I think of something that to me like psychically is really interesting, like whether it's
Mm.
compositionally, you know, color wise. Yeah.
Um, so are you thinking about like so like it seems there's like an element of narrative, right? Like in your like body of work, for particularly in this particular show, and this particular body of work, are you seeing like all the pieces that are on the show itself kind of like stem from like one kind of storyline, or are you thinking about like a different narrative for each one of the pieces?
I think I don't think there's a concrete story. Like I didn't write out a story or plan everything to that. Like I'm a very intuitive artist, and I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of the things I'm interested in are subconscious. I think in the show itself, there might be threads that link to like a hero's journey
Hmm.
or a protagonist, but there's nothing concrete like that. Um,
By the way, I was telling my wife that you are inspired by the Clamp, like the manga artist Clamp, and
Yeah.
she really likes like Card Captor Sakura. Is that what a and I think that's like a that's very interesting. And like she mentioned another one that's like um it's like X something. I forgot what
Oh,
it's called.
X 1999.
Yeah,
Mm.
where she was
My
like
brother got those books. Yeah, I read it when I was younger.
because
I
she
love
she love the artwork in those like manga as well because I think to me they are like they're super like artistic. They are it doesn't really just like serve for like that this is created for a comic book, right? There's like a lot of an element of like world building and also there's like all the posters just like look so beautiful and it looks can look like a painting. Yeah, and I think that was like really interesting.
I love borrowing from them. I think like conceptually they're so like amazing because not only
Uh-huh.
are they women artists in an industry that at that time wasn't welcoming towards that, but also there's like not that many media
Hmm.
that are indulgent for young girls to like
Yeah.
young girls like enjoy being a girl.
Hmm.
Like having people unconditionally love you, having like these strong women have like powers that are out of this world, like all of that. It's like there's just not that many mediums. Like there's a lot for young boys, but
Hmm.
for to let young girls like enjoy themselves and enjoy their girlhood, it's not. It's quite rare,
Yeah.
especially as they get older. They'll realize the world gets cooler and cooler.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit actually about this particular work behind you here?
Yeah. This painting is called poesis, which I think is it's a great term to mean the creation of something. Um, I think I think I made this during the same time I made my big painting. This is sort of referencing just like visions of creation, just visions, hallucinations that inspire. Um,
Hmm.
I love thinking about like magic and like video game magic, so there are obviously references to like spells and like sprites and all this.
Yeah.
Composition, I was also looking at plant illustrations too.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally definitely like after seeing kind of like Clem kind of imagery on Google, I thought it was like this is like very much like it's like it feels like very kind of like inspired by manga. It's like especially like I don't know like if it's like like the sequence when in I think like Sailor Moon or like Kamen Rider when they're actually turning into something and this is almost like that hero moment. There's like the like repeatable sequence, yeah, that they kind of like almost like power up or like level up, and I think I kind of definitely like feel that energy here. Yeah. Let's go to the next piece, like right next to this. I think like if I'm not mistaken, Reckoning. I love this piece so much. I think it was just like it's really cool, and one thing that I really get like from your some of these paintings, it has like definitely like a main character energy to the work itself. Can you tell us a little bit about this particular piece?
This piece is a soft pastel drawing, so
Uh,
it's not oil
huh.
drawing. There's a very strong like luminescent feeling to it, like a very blurry dust-like texture.
Hmm.
I am really fascinated by armor. Armor is one of those things. It's so fascinating. It's something that can protect you, that is a shell and signifies war, but at the same time, it's not a weapon.
Hmm.
Like it can be adorned, it can be drawn on, it can be painted, and I think like symbolically, that's very relevant to like the crux of this show in particular.
Mm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I do think there is main character energy in a lot of the paintings here.
Yeah.
'Cause again, it's like hero's journey. It's like you're thinking of like psychological things, and they all pertain to the self. So.
Yeah.
Um, it's also like I also love that like a lot of armor is reflective. reflective. So you see like this tool for war that's
Mm-hmm.
been like engraved and adorned, but at the same time you see yourself in it, and
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful concept.
Yeah, yeah. It's like super fascinating because like after that previous like work that we just kind of look at, and I kind of like mentioned that's like almost like in the movie, like if it's like a Rocky movie, like where it's like that montage of like somebody's actually, trying to level up, in that
Mm-hmm.
process. Here is almost like the hero kind of like arrives to that moment to become a hero. And I think to me that's like a really just like such a exhilarating kind of like feeling that you get like from this like, oh, you made it, almost kind of like, that feeling as well. Can you? I'm actually kind of curious about about a couple of things in this particular work itself, like your decision to almost kind of like frame the character without the whole kind of like eyes, and almost like that kind of like almost like winning grin, and also that reflection on her chest as well. Can you tell us a little bit about those kind of like little kind of aspect of this painting?
Yeah, I think at least in my like mindscapes, they're all again versions of myself, but like having a reflection drawn, that's like the strongest way to actually depict that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of someone being anonymous, since without the eyes you can't really tell who it is. And the space in the center, it looks like all the other faces I've drawn more or less. Like it's like this bright yellow, rosy cheeked creature. And I think um, it sort of is like a strong like ego like
Mm-hmm.
um, depiction of that. I have the face on top and piercings too, because again, I think maybe this is a little stereotypical, but like with piercings, like people tend to think that they look tough, but like this is again a very soft drawing. It's drawn with the hands because it's
Mm-hmm.
pastel. There's a lot of touch happening, but also with metal itself,
Yeah.
it's a hard, sturdy object. But once it's heated up just a bit, it becomes extremely malleable, depending on what metal you're using,
Yeah.
and it's a super tactile thing. And I think like depicting that with armor, like these piercings with armor, I thought it was just a nice tension to draw down.
Interesting. Interesting. All right, I'm actually kind of curious. Is the Opal Knight guarding mother is actually part of the show?
No, it's one of my pieces that I made for my like mini presentation a year ago. But I think
Ah, okay.
sort of, yeah, no, it was sort of like a progenitor for this show. Like I thought about it a lot, referenced it a lot, or like tried to get into the mind space of how I made that work, and like moved around it like that. Yeah.
I see, I see. Okay, okay. Let's take a look at the Titan 2 board. I think to me that's like a very interesting piece as well. If I'm not mistaken, that's like right next to this. Great. I would love to actually, talk to you a little bit about some kind of like how did you actually draw inspiration and references? Because um, I kind of mentioned to you earlier this week that it's super fascinating to see like the different sources. For this particular piece, I see an element of like 70s kind of like sci-fi posters, or like early Star Wars like poster. If you can like see it, yeah, I think that it has that kind of almost like the same color palette, almost like the way that you're portraying the figure, where you almost like draw from like almost like Greek kind of like mythology, kind of like sculpture pieces, But like and at the other work, you see like how almost kind of like anime kind of like background, that you're actually kind of like drawing from those. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you like sources like all this inspiration and actually kind of create a body of work that feels like super cohesive?
Yeah. So for this one, like I've always been interested in like in muscular bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have like this fixation on the idea of inner strength and outer strength,
Mm-hmm.
and having someone, it takes a lot of time and effort and patience to grow a body like that. So to be someone with like muscles, especially like femme bodies with muscles, it becomes like I think like a market symbol. For this, I was thinking a lot about healing, because this is meant to be paired with that painting on the opposite wall, called Washing Wounds. But this one, um, there's a lot of, again, deeper symbolism here. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking of like an animal eating a lady. This is a snake eating a woman. And slowly the woman becomes transformed into an animal. It loses its
Oh.
sense as a human, it loses its sense as a woman because it'll get digested and then it'll take on the form and shift forms into being an animal. And I thought conceptually that was really interesting. Like, I think again a lot of for this it's like deeply like carnal, it's like sexual, it's like bodily, and I wanted to like really push that direction. I was thinking a lot about like um, it just like again like I have this fixation at least with this show of like multiple echoes of a figure. So I'm not sure whether or not they are the same person, but I feel like they are like sisters or like shadows of each other, and it is like a strange like rebirthing cycle.
Amazing. Amazing. Amazing piece. But Augustina, I love it so much. Um, so you actually created a sculpture piece for the show itself. Can you talk a little bit about like the experience of making those pieces?
Yeah. So I made a sword for this sculpture and for the show. It's a foam sword that's been customized, the same kind that you would get for like cosplays and stuff.
Hmm.
For me, like since I'm already interested in like all these more like nerdy or nerdy like subcultures, cosplay like naturally became like a way to materialize this show, at least like as a physical object. And I think for this, like I was thinking a lot about mimicry.
Hmm.
There's another piece that is the sword itself, it's the painting. And since I'm like already thinking of shifting forms and like shifting identities, cosplay also is like that. It's like
Yeah.
you're already costuming and role playing
Yeah.
and becoming another person for the short time you have that costume on. So I think me making the sword is sort of just like an ode to like the love I have for that community or like the craft itself.
Yeah.
It's technically quite difficult to make. Um, it's seated on like the bed of real moss, so you can like smell the moss if you're ever in the gallery.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Like I love set dressing as world building and like things like of that nature. So
Yeah.
it sort of just naturally came about like this.
Yeah. Wait, is this your first time? It doesn't seem like this is your first time actually creating a set or a set like this sort. Like is like do you have you ever done like sculpture pieces before?
I did for school, but nothing serious. For this, I just had a vision in mind,
Uh-huh.
and it sort of just worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like super. It looks at least like from here, it looks super like realistic and really, you capture all the texture and it's really amazing. And if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, it's like actually made out of foam. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, no, it's made out of foam. It's a customized sword, so I only made most like edits to it. Like I painted it and patinaed it, and I had to like screw this back on and all these extra like flourishes to it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Um, One last thing I actually kind of want to do here, like by the way, it's like if any of our audience have any question, please feel free to kind of like put it into the comment below. Yeah. Um, can we take a look at um the Titan washing wounds piece again? Because I am super fascinated with how the rendering of this piece itself. It just looks so beautiful. Again, I think there's one thing that's like super fascinating about your work from the craft standpoint. Yeah, it has like such a range of like, styles and inspiration and references, but it does feel like so cohesive. I know that you mentioned there are like pieces that are just like purely pastel, and then I think but this one I don't think it's pastel, right? Like, can you tell us a little bit about the process of creating this piece?
Yeah, so this one along with the this snake one, they're the same dimensions and like similar compositions. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought of them as like twins or like sisters that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
For this, there's like this painting is like hyper matte. It's like a naturally matte, and I think it is because I was experimenting with like a lot of browns at the time. This one has a gesso brown that's mixed with Conti, which is like it's like a fine grain graphite sort of pastel, and there's a very strong brown grain that comes through. Like you could look through here, it comes through. It makes the oil paint itself very matte. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. The matte just makes like the brighter colors like here even pop out even more, I feel. So there's, yeah. Like I also like, because it's Conti again, like there are some, not mistakes, but there are like, there's like layers of the underpainting coming through. And
Mm-hmm.
I like being honest with my work. Like I don't cover up underpaintings that much, or it's not like a number one thing for me if some of the ground is showing or some of the underpainting is showing. Like I like being honest and letting everyone see how the work is made. So that feels like a hand made it or a person made it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love especially the way that you render the body because it's almost like it's like painted over pearl. That there's like a luminescent effect to it. I think to me that's like incredible. Amazing. Well, Kyra, maybe can you do like one sweep through of the gallery to kind of give our viewers a little bit, full view of like the show itself?
Yeah, of course. This is the back end here, towards the back room of the gallery.
Amazing.
One of my favorite pieces, that one there. Of course, these two beautiful ones here. Great.
How many works are in total for this particular show?
9.
Okay. Plus the um plus the sculpture in the middle, or like with the sculpture in the middle?
10 with the sculpture in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that there.
Wow.
Yeah. There's this one also.
This little baby on paper work.
Yeah.
It's on pastel board.
Oh, pastel.
It's like,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Augustina and Cairo, thank you so much for doing this
Of
again with us. I know
course.
third time is a charm, and I think it went really well. And I'm super grateful that you guys are collaborating with us. Thank you so much for your patience. Really appreciate it. Um, but congratulations for your solo show, Augustina. Can you tell us a little bit about the dates for the show?
Yeah, it opens April 15th at Solar Tower, 2 to 5 p.m.
Perfect. And you will be there for the opening, right?
I'll do it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for Augustina. Thank you, Cairo. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Karen, as well. Really appreciate it. And congratulations again. And hope you enjoy the opening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
All right. You too.